Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, it is something that we all want. We all desire it. I don't think you can ever have enough of it. And it's not money. Some say you can buy it with money. I don't know about that. Jury's out on that. But
Good cup of coffee. You can buy happiness. It comes in
there you go. All right.
Little morning mugs, but that's about it.
And here it is. We're talking about happiness. How to find happiness, what is happiness, how to share it. And she is somebody who offers a lot of insight as a heyoka, a storyteller, but in her stories is a message, is some healing potentially for somebody or all of us. She's also intuitive. She's a card reader, energy healer, and so much more. And she's back. Janis Reed is here. I'm happy to say that Janis Reed is here. Hello.
Oh, well, thank you. Happy. Yeah, hello. Yeah, we've been talking about this happiness thing because that's like my goal, my mission from God is to bring back just general all around happiness, happierness. I've heard somebody else say lately. There's even a ministry being formed just for well-being. People are coming to notice that happiness matters. It's like playtime when we were in school. We'd get recess, and then we'd get so old, like third grade, and they'd say, "Oh, no more recess," and that bummed most of us out. I know it did me. Recess was important. We get to play. Break times, snorting around the water cooler, hawing and laughing about whatever happened last night. We need to release the tension. Or like a fine watch, we're going to break something. People are starting to realize that more and more. The more I talk about it, the more I hear about it. I hope y'all people get an ear out for that as well. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily don't get sad or that we don't acknowledge, because the dirty, rotten scoundrel that caught us off in front. So we can't always say, "Oh, have a nice day." Sometimes we have to use the dirty words first, and then we get around to it. But just general happiness, feeling at ease in our skin, not feeling like we have to prove anything. We don't feel like we have to respond and be irritated when people ask us dumb things like, "How you doing?" When I'm not in a good mood, I think about telling them just how I am doing.
We do that a lot, don't we? Like we automatically switch into autopilot. And I think it's because we don't want to dump on somebody else. "Hey, how's it going?" And right away, we want to say, "It's really crappy today. I got to tell you." But a lot of times, like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, around here, people, if I like run into them with my grocery cart and I about rip the back of their legs apart and I say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They say, "Oh, you're good." What does that mean? How does that make them happy to say that I'm good? Well, I know I'm good, but they could be bleeding all over the floor. I get them, Happiness is trying to get along, I think. At least considering making an effort not to just jump on the first person that looks at you funny and be miserable at them. Happiness, I think, is maybe finding things that bring us joy. Like we have to look for trouble. We got to look for happiness too.
But happiness looks different to everyone. Your happiness might be different than mine. You might love that cup of coffee. Maybe I don't drink coffee. I do, but decaf. But what makes you happy? And how do we find it?
I think we have to look for it, which means we have to give it an effort. We need to give ourselves recess time so that we can play again. I mean, when was the last time you walked down the street and like kicked a can or kicked a walnut, or did the hopscotch when you pass it over the sidewalk? When was the last time that you looked up and just saw something that made you smile? It's easy for me to be happy. Anytime I look outside, my grin goes up. I can't help it. On my worst days, I look outside and I'm smiling because it makes me happy. There's the comfort of the mountains close by, the colorful beauty of the trees as they change colors and leaves, the smell, that rich earth, comfortable smell. It's hard not to feel good right here. The water runs, so the ozone is really sweet. And I can see how someone that lived in a city all their lives may never know what relax is, what happiness is, because they're forced just to make do with what they've got, not knowing what they're missing.
But if you're forced to do with what you got, like you found the happiness in the mountains, you found the happiness in the fresh air. Mm-hmm. Can't we, or shouldn't we do that? Whatever it is that you can
whatever
find.
Our version of it is. I had a friend come down from Manhattan. He just couldn't get it, why anybody would want to live here. There's nothing here. There were no opera houses. There were no huge bookstores. There were no bookstores. There was no theater. My God, there was only two live theater stages, and he just couldn't. There was nothing here. But to me, there's everything right here. Everything. I woke up. I was late waking up last week, and so a hoot owl woke me up. I'd set the alarm but didn't flip it on. So at about 5 minutes before it was going to go off, the hoot owl started hooting outside. And I woke up in time to wonder and look at the clock and realized what I had done. You just can't get that in downtown Peoria. I don't think. I don't know. I'm in a lucky spot, so I'm in a happy place. But I've lived in other places that weren't like this at all, and I was still happy. When I was little, my parents were determined that Daddy would do better than his father, who was actually a sharecropper. So Daddy went to high school, he went to college, and we took off. We moved every 12 to 18 months, whether we wanted to or not. We did. Usually north to south, south to north. He would follow the money because he was determined that we children would have happiness that he didn't have. We went places. Our idea of a great gift was leaving Kentucky and going to the San Antonio World's Fair. I mean, we went places. We saw things. We went and saw the waterworks at the Louisville water turbines. That was really interesting. We went to museums. We didn't get our own princess phone. We didn't get a lot of, things that everybody else got. But we got treated to other kinds of happiness. I try to imagine what some child or who's just truly inquisitive and knows how to put information together, and they're trapped living in a place where they can't. Some of the war zones where it's just not safe. Some of the drought places where there's just not the material to work with. How frustrating that must be. And how much unhappiness is created, even without comparing the situation to anything else. How do we know what happiness is? Happiness lets us breathe. I've noticed there's some physical manifestations that when we're happy, it happens. We breathe.
You bring up a great point, though. Unless you're not happy, you'll never know what happy is. Because you won't. You could be, if you never experienced unhappiness, sadness, whatever it is, if you've never experienced it, you could be living the best, happiest life ever, but you would not even know it. So when you think about those things that are crappy, if you will, in your life, that things have happened, you'd be thankful for them. Like, you bring back memories for me. I didn't go on vacation as a kid, ever. ever. I took myself on vacation with my friends to Florida, Disney, when I was like 22.
You went to Disney World? Wow. Yeah, we have to get out. We have, what was the line from Rudyard Kipling? Run, ticky, ticky, tavi. Go find out.
Well, guess what? Not only did I not have, money, single mom raising me and my sister, I basically made my own toys. I had, got some toys here and there, but I would take whatever I had and then turn it into something else. But do you know what it did now that I look back at it? It made me use my imagination, which I guess kind of fueled what I did later in life, because I feel I'm creative. I'm always thinking of something, always coming up with something. Maybe that wouldn't be if I wasn't forced to find happiness in taking a little, cowboy figurine and taking some thread and putting it through his arm and making him rappel down the stairs.
Cool.
Because that was like having a new toy now.
I look at some of it and I realize a lot of it does come from our early life. Do our parents give us permission to giggle and laugh? Or are we really supposed to be seen and not heard? Which was really the case. When I was a kid, that was really the law in a lot of people's houses. The children were to go outside or down in a playroom, but don't be heard. And that was a big deal. It was a societal rule. We hated it. We did our best to come right up to the limit. But happiness, no, that didn't make us happy. Happy was looking out the window and seeing one of my uncles teach my young son how to put two pecans together and crack them in his hand. My son was about 8, 9 years old, and Uncle Joe was showing him how to crack one against the other. And the look on my son's face when he found out the magic way that you could just, he opened up about 49 more pecans before he came inside because he'd crush them together and practice. He was so happy. He had learned something and he accomplished something. He didn't just watch his uncle show him how. He was able to accomplish it as well. He was joyful when he saw his uncle do it, but he was happy when he figured out he could do it too. I don't know how to draw the line in the sand, but the look on his face was two different emotions, before and after. Like when you were a little kid, you went out and you made your own toys. Me too, by the way. I didn't have to, I just liked to. It satisfied something inside of me that said, look what I can do.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You hit it right there. Because that's, as you say it, that's what comes back in my mind. Because I would say, I made that little green figurine. And again, it was like, I had other toys, but I like this one cowboy. And I see it in my mind right now. It was a medium green color, not the army color. It was more of a brighter green. But I made him fly.
Cool.
On a piece of thread. Yeah, that was an achievement. That was an accomplishment. Yeah, made me happy.
Yeah. When people are brought up or in a position where they don't have any outlets to create and say, look what I did. Several times I've done something I thought was special and been told that that's nothing at all. I was learning how to write cursive about 3rd or 4th grade, and I was practicing my cursive H's on the little lined paper with the little dots in the middle because we were making it all fit the track. The teacher came down and looked down, standing opposite of me, so we were face to face. She looked down at the paper and said, that's not the letter we're working on. We're not working on Y's. We're working on H's. And I sat there and had big crocodile tears because if she looked at it from the way I looked at it, it was an H. But she was looking at it upside down and saw a Y. And so I was in the wrong because she was the teacher. When she realized what she had done, she apologized all over herself. And she was very careful not to make that faux pas again, I think. But we stifle people sometimes. because what makes them happy doesn't make us happy. We misinterpret it. And we think we have maybe something to do with why and how somebody else should find happiness.
But isn't it interesting when you get a bunch of people together and you do something? I know you were sharing that it was a birthday party, something went on. When everybody is happy, it's almost magical. When everybody is on the same happy page, kind of magical. Wow.
Something produces, it's like a kind of humor or electricity in the air. Something changes in the matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked to people I don't even like because it was just a great atmosphere. I felt safe. I felt happy. I was surrounded by people that were smiling at me. I was reminded I have friends. I haven't been out of the house in about 3 years. So, most of them I figured had forgotten me, but they hadn't. I got hugs and hellos and it transported me. It really transported me. I lost yesterday altogether. The party was Saturday night, but I woke up today thinking it was Sunday. It was a lost weekend because I had shifted my brain patterns from a woman watching her husband pass through the last moments, and it took a long time, to a birthday party with a little 18-month-old that kept going, shrugging her shoulders at me, being cute. Dogs were just playing all over the place. The babies were out. They put the little kids up there with the big, tall kids, and they all played volleyball together. It was great. It changed me. I was in the midst of happiness. It was in the air. I think it creates a smell when we get fearful. I know that an animal can smell your fear. Likewise, an animal can smell your joy, your peace. Well, Daniel didn't get eaten up by the lions in the lion's den. They felt his peace. He wasn't afraid. And what was the fun in taking out somebody that, wasn't afraid? So they didn't. When people are given the opportunity, they can switch that to the other side and find happiness, to find a little honest joy. It doesn't take away from anything. It's just as easy as finding the fear and the anger. Look for the happy.
I have to believe also, the animals smelling fear. I don't doubt it for a second. However,
I know it's true.
We all are energy. There's all, we emit energy. There's a vibration.
It, yeah.
I think animals can pick up on that because they don't have to worry about all the stuff that a human has to worry about, paying the bills, doing this, doing that. They're just living now and just absorbing what is ever around them. And I have to believe that when you went to that party, that the collective energy of everybody was high because it was a good time.
Boy. Yeah, it was joyful. It produced a smell, a vibration that created a smell that was below the level of obvious awareness. And it just wafted through the air. I mean, the neighborhood dog came over. He wasn't even invited, but he came over and he played really hard and he took tours for all the other little dogs, and it was a blast. I mean, it wasn't just the people that were happy. The neighborhood got happy. I guess they're endoforms or pheromones.
Well, pheromones is attraction scent.
I think that's produced by joy.
I don't doubt it. But I'll bet you that dog picked up on the energy too, whether it was a smell, whether it was a vibe, and said, well, yeah, they got some good stuff going on over there. Maybe I'll get some food too. Let me go. Let me check it out.
That dog was so polite. It came with its tail between its legs. It stood at the corner. It waited until it was invited by the other little dogs, and it never got in anybody's way. And it was clear that the dog was unsure if it was really invited by the people or not. But nobody kicked him out, and everybody had fun. So, I mean, even other species, just feeling it. We were feeling it.
Wow. You know what? I wish I was there. And I'm not just saying that. It sounds
It's
like a wonderful time.
Yeah, it's the kind of party that everybody needs to go to once in a while. It's multi-generational. Any kind of nefarious um, things happen, out of anybody's sight, just out of being basic niceness. Um, Everybody minds their manners. We're all older now, so that we know that if we do too much of that, we're not going to get out of bed in the morning. Whereas if we were 18, it might have been different. People have known each other a long time here. So
Hmm.
there's not a lot of surprises. There are, but there is a community here. And the community holds that hum of happiness or sadness. If one of us crosses over, everybody gathers in for that. When the 80-year-old got married to her loving 70-year-old, we all gathered in for that. Just it's a different kind of party. It brings us together because of our heart, not necessarily because who's got the best snacks or contraband.
Well,
It's just joy.
look what happened. You were kind of distant for obvious reasons, doing your life and needed to.
Yeah.
And you were welcomed. Like a beat wasn't even missed, to the
Yeah,
point where you forgot what day it was because you had so much fun with it.
really, I can't believe I lost Sunday because I was still riding the high.
Yeah.
I only discovered it about 11 o'clock this morning.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a good party.
Well, it was a great party, I only had half a glass of Prosecco. That was it. But
Uh-huh.
it was
Yeah.
just joy to the world. I would like if people would gather like that every so often. Block parties used to happen,
Yeah.
and it was safe. And the gangs would generally, settle back away. There weren't that many. They're not as prolific as they are today. But to just find a person in line in the grocery store, and point out some ridiculous headline on the Inquirer and share a smile.
So I want to share something with you.
Do.
And I'm actually I know it, but I want to double check where it happened. And this just happened. And
Breaking news.
It was in Virginia.
Mm.
Okay. And a woman named Brianna was online at a convenience store.
Okay.
And the person in front of her didn't have enough money to pay. So this person, Brianna, in Virginia at the 7-Eleven said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it, and pays for the person's whatever they were buying. Brianna pays for her own stuff and buys a lottery ticket and just won $150,000.
Ooh, good karma. Instant karma.
Instant karma. That's exactly where I was going with that. And it's not like we should do things to get good things, but that's just an example of do the right thing or do good, and good can come to you.
Doeth goodeth, and the goodeth shall doeth you.
And it may not be instant, and it may take a little while, but I'm all about do the right thing. But when I say that, it's for the greater good, because we can all say, well, I'm doing the right thing for myself. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean,
no, it's the greater good. When we figure out that we really are all on this one boat together, and there's no way off the boat, save the boat sink, pull ourselves together on the planet. We're all in the same boat called Earth together.
Mm-hmm.
And if we work to spread as much peace, harmony, happiness, joy, just let that smell ebb from us. How much can we change the processes that create war? Can we outstink the stench of war with the hoofs of happiness, of camaraderie, harmony?
I wish there were more places like yours, because in my parts here, there's not big gatherings or anything like that. where people feel welcome. You can meet people in, you go to a bar, restaurant, things like that. It's just different. Everybody's got their little show going on.
Well, there was an invitation list. She only invited about 75 of her closest. Just, around the neighborhood, family and stuff.
There was 75 people in your neighborhood.
Oh, they came from other states even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I live very close to the Trippy the Wire, where it's Tennessee and Virginia, North Carolina. Right there where they all come together, that's where I live, up in that little wad of mountain tips. So it isn't hard. When I say they came from North Carolina, that's about 1.5 miles across the state line.
Wow. But even still, it sounds like a wonderful gathering, but happy's what you make it. And you got to find your happiness if it's opening the front door, looking out, taking a breath and saying, this isn't so bad. And if you're going through a tough time, there's probably a reason, because on the other side of it.
Yeah, whatever you're looking at and you're not happy with it, go look at something else. My husband had a little sign on his computer. It said, whatever you're doing, stop. Think about God instead. I don't know if he ever did, but I just thought that was always the best line.
If that makes you feel good, or you could insert, think about think about somebody else, think about cookies, whatever it might be.
I thought of cookies, I don't tell him, but
yeah. Last night, I will tell you, I was at a friend's house and her daughter made chocolate chip cookies. I didn't even know they were making them. And we were watching a rerun of Dancing with the Stars, and she comes walking in. Who wants chocolate chip cookie? The girl's like 17. I'm like, what? I'll take 1, 2.
Wow. Can I hold a plate?
Yeah.
Just hold that for you.
And they were warm cookies. Well, we're out of time. And I don't want to make the engineers unhappy because
and I have to put cookies in the oven now anyway.
and make sure you eat the cookie dough a little bit. It's not going to hurt you, even though they say it does. A little bit, it's fine. That's the best part.
I enjoyed talking with you today.
You too. And how do we connect? Your email address?
Email address. Call me at Goddess Janis 2. Janis Goddess. Goddess Janis 2. Yes. Goddess Janis number 2. GODDESSJANIS at outlook.com. Hit me up on Facebook. I'm Janis Reed, Goddess in Training.
Fabulous talking with you. And like the song goes, I haven't heard it in a while, but it makes sense when you listen to the lyrics. Don't worry. Be happy. Just be happy. Well, I'm happy that we got together today, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, I'm much happier than I was, so I'm glad I got to share it. I hope I've spread a little bit around.
Well, keep on riding that wave of happy high. Keep it going.
Yeah. One party, and I'm a healed woman. Almost. We better get off the air.
Sometimes it happens that way. All right. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, good. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes. and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's just going to be okay.